When he's 92 years old, he finally mentions John Denver. On April 29, 1933, Willie Nelson was born in Abbott, Texas. Willie Hugh Nelson is his full name. At a young age, Willie had a deep affinity for music. During the Great Depression, when his parents divorced and went in search of employment, he was raised by his grandparents. When he was 6 years old, his grandparents, who were big music fans, supported him by getting him his first guitar. At the age of 7, he composed his first song. He began performing with his sister Bobbie, a pianist, in dance halls and honky-tonks when he was 9 years old. For the remainder of their lives, they would remain together. As a young adult, Nelson worked at a variety of odd jobs in an attempt to break into the very competitive country music industry. He farmed, peddled Bibles, sold vacuum cleaners, and worked as a disc jockey. He lived in many locations during the 1950s, including Fort Worth, Portland, and Nashville, but he never lost up on his ambition. His distinctive singing style and unconventional word choice initially seemed out of place with the polished Nashville sound, but he persisted, and his songs began to garner attention. Songs such as Nightlife, Crazy, which was made popular by Patsy Cline, and Funny How Time Slips Away, showcased his poetic side and established him as a top songwriter. Willie Nelson originally gained widespread fame in the 1970s. He returned to Texas and founded the outlaw country movement because he was dissatisfied with the limitations imposed by the Nashville recording industry. This trend eschewed mainstream country music's polished commercial production style in favor of a more unvarnished, intimate, and rebellious approach. His 3 significant albums, Shotgun Willie, 1973, Red-Headed Stranger, 1975, and Stardust, 1978, solidified his standing as a cultural and musical outlaw. Being genuine and telling a story may still sell millions of records and have an impact on people of all ages, as seen by the popular album Red-Headed Stranger, which featured the eerie ballad Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. Beyond his music, Willie Nelson was well known. His bandana, long braided hair, weathered visage, and constant guitar, Trigger, came to represent his style and toughness. But it wasn't simply the image. The man was the one responsible. Willie Nelson was the ideal illustration of a good-hearted renegade who didn't hesitate to voice concerns that infuriate others. He has long been a fervent advocate for environmental preservation, animal welfare, legalizing marijuana, and farmers' rights. In 1985, he founded Farm Aid alongside John Mellencamp and Neil Young. Farm Aid is a charity event that keeps raising millions of dollars for struggling American farmers. People adore his ability to collaborate with others. Over the years, Willie Nelson has recorded with a wide variety of artists, including Ray Charles, Dolly Parton, Sheryl Crow, Snoop Dogg, Norah Jones, Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, and Johnny Cash. Together with Jennings, Cash, and Chris Christopherson, his group, the Highwaymen, came to represent camaraderie and solidarity, amazing sound quality. His ability to transcend genres while being loyal to himself demonstrates how well-liked he is by all. Nelson never gave up despite his personal struggles, which included financial difficulties, failed marriages, and legal disputes with the IRS. He consistently performed, toured, and advocated for his beliefs. He demonstrated that he didn't care about his age in his 80s and 90s by continuing to write autobiographies, perform live, and release new music. His warm, weathered voice and his profound, heartfelt outlook on life and music are still easily recognizable. Willie Nelson is not merely a well-known figure in country music. He is a national treasure and a symbol of strength in addition to being a poet and storyteller. He had a profound effect on both music and society at large. His work, which includes more than 100 CDs, has served as an inspiration to several artists. He has received numerous honors, including as the Kennedy Center Honors, the Grammys, and entry into the Hall of Fame for country music. In addition, he has gained the affection and admiration of supporters worldwide. Even after turning 80, Willie Nelson has persisted in defying expectations and pushing the boundaries of what it means to be an active artist in old age. He continues to inspire admirers and musicians of all ages with his unwavering enthusiasm, inventiveness, and love of music. A few months before turning 81, Nelson's highly acclaimed studio album Band of Brothers was released in 2014. This record was a significant turning point in Nelson's career. In addition to being older, this was the first album he had released in a few years that featured primarily brand new songs he had written himself. His original tales and profound words were blended with traditional country music on the album. It was commended for reflecting honesty and maturity. Both reviewers and devoted fans found it poignant, hailing it as the renowned singer-songwriter's comeback. Even more incredible is the fact that Band of Brothers, at the top of the Billboard Top Country Albums chart, demonstrating his continued fame and relevance in the ever-evolving country music industry. The popularity of the record demonstrated that Nelson's age had not diminished his talent or his capacity to engage listeners with his eloquent guitar playing and voice. Willie Nelson has left a lasting impression on the music, film, and television industries. Over the years, he has seamlessly transitioned from music studios to film sets, earning a reputation as a captivating and effortless actor. He has participated in numerous. He starred in films that showcased his distinct charm and wit in addition to his musical influence. He gave one of his best performances in the 1979 film The Electric Horseman, starring Jane Fonda and Robert Redford. Nelson demonstrated his ability to blend his acting and musical talents by contributing to the soundtrack and playing a humorous and poignant supporting role. Nelson portrayed a kind, grandfatherly role in the 1996 family film Starlight, which highlighted his kind nature and made him a well-liked figure by people of all ages. He was also a terrific candidate for roles in comedies and lighthearted films because he was humorous and laid back. Nelson portrayed Uncle Jesse in the 2005 film The Dukes of Hazzard, which was adapted from the well-liked television series of the same name. He was able to showcase his endearing and humorous Texas attitude on the big screen thanks to the role. Additionally, he played a memorable part in the romance comedy Blonde Ambition, 2007, which starred Jessica Simpson. His portrayal gave the narrative a more authentic and Southern feel. In the 2016 satirical fashion comedy Zoolander 2, he demonstrated his ability to further mock himself with a moment that made audiences laugh and demonstrated his continued cultural significance. Willie Nelson has gained popularity among people of all ages as a pop culture phenomenon and music legend, because to these film roles, he continued to work in the music and film industries long into his 80s, demonstrating his ardor, tenacity, and creativity. His legacy is hard to match. American country music icon Willie Nelson has almost 60 years of experience. His personal life has been quite colorful and exciting, particularly in regards to his relationships and family. Over the years, he has been married 4 times. Every marriage was a fresh chapter in his life that reflected the highs and lows, transformations, and evolving perspectives he experienced during his singing career. He wed Martha Matthews for the first time in 1952. This relationship was extremely unstable, despite the fact that they had been together for 10 years. In his autobiographies, Nelson has been candid about the relationship's instability and occasional violence, which he attributes to his drinking and the unpredictability of his early music career. Willie and Martha had 3 children together: Billy Hugh Nelson Jr., Susie, and Lana. Billy, their son, tragically committed suicide in 1991. Over the years, Willie has honestly and painfully reflected on this very terrible occurrence in his life. In 1963, Willie wed vocalist Shirley Colley following the dissolution of his first marriage. Initially, they collaborated on creative endeavors. Nelson and Shirley collaborated on music around the beginning of the 1960s. Shirley herself was a country singer. The marriage ended in 1971 after Shirley learned that Willie had fathered a kid with Connie Kopke while they were still married. This information, which suggested his next relationship, caused them to split up. Connie Kopke, Willie's 3rd wife and the mother of his daughter Paula Carleen Nelson, was soon after. Amy Lee Nelson is the name of their 2nd daughter, born in 1971. Connie supported Nelson during his difficult years in the music industry. including his run-ins with the IRS and drug use. Additionally, the marriage dissolved in 1988, despite the fact that they had a history together and had 2 children together. Later that year, Willie Nelson wed Annie D'Angelo. While doing makeup for the 1986 film Stagecoach, which starred him, Chris Christopherson, and Johnny Cash, he got to know Annie. Annie brought stability and serenity to Willie's frequently chaotic surroundings. Numerous individuals have praised her for being a soothing influence in his life, and for helping him lead a better lifestyle by reducing his intake of alcohol and meat. Lucas Autry Nelson has followed in his father's musical footsteps and achieved fame as the main singer of Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real. Their son, Micah Nelson, is renowned for his distinct and experimental style, and is a musician and artist in his own right. Willie has been married to Annie for more than 30 years, making their union the longest lasting. They have a close bond that has grown stronger over the years. For the past several years, Willie and Annie have resided on the Hawaiian island of Maui. They enjoy living there because of the lovely surroundings and the proximity to friends and family. Their home is a tranquil haven from the pressures of travel and celebrity. It's a testament to how tranquil his later years have become, not merely a place to rest. Although some sources occasionally refer to her as Marie, her true name is Annie D'Angelo. Their love and respect for one another are the foundation of their solid, enduring connection. Through these relationships, Willie Nelson has given birth to 7 children in all. Every one of them has played a distinct role in his life. Nelson has always been close to his family and frequently draws inspiration for his songs from them, despite the ups and downs, the losses, and the lessons he has had to learn the hard way. Both his personal and professional lives have been greatly impacted by his family, particularly his children, many of whom have continued his artistic and creative spirit. Willie Nelson, the legendary country musician, is already well into his 90s. Like the American landscape he sings about so frequently, his life has been complex and full. Nelson has been performing music for more than 70 years, spanning genres like as gospel, blues, and outlaw country. He has collaborated with some of the most significant figures in music history throughout that time. Fans have long considered the name of John Denver, a well-known American folk star and fellow singer and composer, among all the names that have played a role in Nelson's life. However, Nelson has hardly ever mentioned Denver's name in public. In a rare and heartbreaking moment of honesty and vulnerability, Willie Nelson, now 92, has finally given his thoughts, memories, and feelings regarding the late Denver. This offers the general public a heartwarming and insightful glimpse into a friendship they may not have completely understood. For years, many Nelson admirers have been curious about his true feelings toward Denver. Although both musicians were involved in American music, their distinct actions had an impact on one another. Denver's distinct voice and ballads with a natural theme were regarded as an indication of genuine, sincere optimism in the 1970s. With his braids, uncut hair, and strong ties to the more rugged areas of outlaw country, Nelson, on the other hand, was perceived as more rebellious. Despite their apparent differences, Willie now admits that he greatly appreciated John Denver's authenticity in his songs, his ability to write lyrics, and his unshakable commitment to environmental causes. Denver, according to Nelson, had a soul that meant every word and sang from the mountains. Willie goes on to remark that despite the fact that they didn't collaborate or tour as frequently as some may believe, they always appreciated and cared for one another. They frequently crossed paths at charity concerts and television specials in the late 1970s and early 1980s, when both men were fighting for causes close to their hearts. Nelson for family farms and rural communities, and Denver for wildlife and conservation. According to Willie, backstage at one of those events, they had a lengthy conversation on the pressures of celebrity and how to be authentic in a society when people demand you to be a certain way. John told me that he only wanted to write and sing what he felt, no matter if it was Paris or New York. Idea. That made sense to me, recalls Nelson. That really hit me, Nelson also claims that he was greatly impacted by Denver's tragic 1997 death in a plane crash off the coast of California. Willie remained silent in public at the time. However, he admits that he was grieving the loss of one of the kindest speakers in America behind closed doors. Willie claims that Denver's music continues to touch him even after all these years, particularly songs like Take Me Home, Country Roads, and Sunshine on My Shoulders. Those songs make you feel love, he says. They were never merely hits. They were presents. Nelson also discusses what he believes to be Denver's muddled legacy. He describes how Denver's strength was being honest and having the courage to follow his emotions, whereas John was occasionally accused for being too sentimental or mushy. People in this business try to change you into someone you're not. Willie responds, John should never have let that happen. That's brave. Keep your mouth shut. Williamson, who has dedicated his life to challenging artistic conventions and advocating for his beliefs, would recognize himself in the vocalist Denver's voyage. He believes that if Denver had lived longer, they might have collaborated on a recording one day. Perhaps a gentle duet in which their disparate voices would have melded to pay tribute to the location they both cherished. Maybe different roads, but the same view. Nelson laughs and remarks, We were both country boys at heart. Willie's choice to speak up now is a memorial to a buddy who has passed away, as well as a lesson in how to express gratitude and find harmony. At 92, he has a wealth of life stories to share. He explains that part of what gives the music and the man who created it significance is paying tribute to those who came into our lives, whether briefly or permanently. Willie Nelson's reflections on John Denver, as the sun slowly sets on a remarkable career, are poignant, truthful, and honest. They sound like a song unto themselves. This song was at last prepared for performance after years, or possibly decades of preparation. Looking.